A fair few people have voiced some concern with regards to the date for the trial of Axel Rudakubana. He's the young man accused of the Southport murders, as well as the trial of Ricky Jones. He was the Labour councillor who allegedly called for rioters' throats to be slit when he was giving a speech to other left-wing protesters. Now, Ricky Jones denies encouraging violent disorder, make of that what you will, but many people are pointing towards how slow this process has taken for him, while other rioters were thrown in jail within 48 hours. However, the biggest story here is the trial of Ricky Jones and of Axel Rudakubana. Both are on the 20th of January. That's the same date as Donald Trump's inauguration in America. Now, the claim is that the powers that be have purposefully put both trials on Trump's inauguration so they can try and bury the stories in the news cycle. You might expect one or two perma-crisis stories to hit around that time as well. All of this tells us something quite important about life in a modern-day multicultural Western nation, and that's that if you have such a political model, the state needs to get bigger and bigger in order to control the narrative and ensure that people can't see the fault lines of liberalism itself. This ever-increasing and controlling state is perfectly exemplified by our present ruling Labour Party, who have all the energy of the devouring mother. For the unawares, the devouring mother is a psychological archetype which points towards a parent who tries to overprotect their children and ends up smothering them. That stops the children from growing up into healthy individuals. It's ironic then that liberalism, the original meaning of which was liberty, that is personal freedom from the state to think and do as you please, is getting increasingly authoritarian. We seem to have forgotten that liberalism was only possible in the English tradition because we once shared grassroots foundations in our strong shared national identity and our Christian moral values that allowed us to create a society of high trust. This is why multiculturalism destroys liberty in the long run. After all, we're inviting millions of people here from completely different traditions. That means they have different moral value systems. Further to that, they have different national loyalties and understand history in a different way. This was all encapsulated in this powerful and poignant picture of the Manchester cenotaph taken this year. In the forefront of the picture, you can see you have the Muslim parents praying next to the cenotaph, and their kids are playing on the cenotaph. They seem completely unaware that their kids are jumping on the cenotaph, and would they even care if they knew? Do they even know what the cenotaph is for? You can see why this creates low trust in society. After all, any patriot would be hurt by such an image. We value the red poppy and cenotaph very highly. It makes us think of our war dead who've paid the ultimate price for our country. Some of these people are also friends and family. Now, personally, I don't even blame the Muslims for this because the cenotaph isn't part of their tradition. They don't even know what it is. They're engaging in their own tradition as they pray, and you can't blame them for wanting to keep their own tradition alive. The people I blame are our liberal overlords who force this on us, call us racist if we have a problem, tell us how to think and feel, and want an ever bigger state at the same time. Another example of this comes on the back of the terrible murder of the poor little girl Sarah Sharif. She was murdered by her parents, and the government have decided that schools need to do more to try and raise awareness for kids who are being abused. Now, this sounds very reasonable on the surface, but when you flesh it out, you see it's another step on the way to the authority of the parents being removed and taken over by the state. Now, we can all see this is going to eventuate in councils and teachers having the power to veto the parents say if they hear controversial things such as there's too much mass immigration, multiculturalism doesn't work, England belongs to the English, and so on. I think we're going to see more of this in the future as the mask slips from liberalism and it becomes increasingly authoritarian. If you have a big corporate job, you can probably still pretend that liberalism is a great success story, but the vast majority of us are seeing that it's been a complete failure. We need to be very sharp in recognizing these threats in the future and be able to challenge them politically and philosophically. I also think it might be time to think about the building of new communities outside of the corrupting liberal mainstream, something which harks back to our ancient traditions, but more on that in the future. Do let me know what you think about all this down below, and do consider subscribing to the channel if you're new.